mothers help their children get their mittens on. Some will go without, hands curled into fists, jammed into their jacket pockets to the wrist. Ghosts slip from chapped lips and hover over backpacks made of plastic. Can't see the cracks on the sidewalk, encased in ice away from the sky's watch. And she's disguised to survive, or at least make it through the recess alive. They pick on her because she's different. They think it's okay, but it isn't. One day decides that she's sick of it. Older brother lit a cigarette, told her if they ever bother her again, come and get them, and they never bother her again. The winter ends itself, and brothers teach their sisters to defend themselves. Some will go out with hands made to fists, hanging out their jacket ready in the wind. Ghosts slip from chapped lips and flee the scene of the battle like a cracked whip. Can't see the tyrant's tears on the sidewalk. He lays defeated while her eyes watch, and she decided to survive, or at least make it through the recess alive. After that they never look at her the same, and never ever bothered her again. As the snow begins to melt, 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 as the snow